All right. Good morning or good afternoon, depends what time of the day you are tuning in and want to educate yourself a little bit about exercise and physiology and female physiology specifically. Um, my name is Snizhana Weber. I'm an exercise physiologist for outpatient cardiac and pulmonary rehabilitation here in the hospital. So my job is working in outpatient settings with patients who wants to resume activities after chronic disease or any type of cardiovascular event. And I see a lot of females and males. And basically my job is prescribe exercise specifically for that person, their condition, and their goals. And today we're going to talk about what type of physical activity, movement, and exercise would be the best fit for females. So, and if you are a male tuning in, I think that would be also beneficial topic for you as well. Just kind of see like, hey, how can I help my partner? Should we do the same type of exercise or should be different? So that's what we're going to discuss today. So today's conversation highlights, so I just kind of briefly want to talk about it. We will actually really talk about specific things. So I want you, by the end of this conversation, to even actually have practical tips that you can use in your everyday life. And if you already have a good, solid exercise program, hopefully it will enhance, make your exercise program even better. If you're not an exerciser, hopefully today, conversation helps you to start brainstorming, think about reintroducing or introducing, go back to your exercise routine. We will talk about what is cardiovascular and resistance training specifically regarding female physiology. What is the best for us? How much and what should we be doing? What type of exercise we should be doing a week, and what do we need to concentrate on so we can get the best results and don't get frustrated. And whenever we wish for our body, our health, our mind, we achieve through movement. So this is today. Hopefully, we're going to unpack that. And like I said, by the end of conversation, you're going to have very practical tips that you can take and use it in your exercise program. Why we actually talk about specifically female physiology, women in exercise. When we specifically looking at how much research being dedicated to female body, female athletes, postmenopause, premenopause, females, what is the best movement by gender? There is not much research done over the years. So we're doing so much better than we used to. And I think that when we look at women and exercise, a lot of recommendations being given to women the same as they would be given to men. Again, we won't just kind of say we're not a small version of man. We have different needs, different body composition. We're going to respond completely different to stress, sleep, physical activity. We go through menopause that men do not, so that also will affect the way how we approach movement and all the stressors in our life that comes with that. So, and it's kind of really important to know, because I think that sometimes we look back and say, well, when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whenever I did this type of exercise and really, didn't give me results. So we just want to kind of concentrate and say, hey, a body changes and it doesn't have to be like that. So we don't have to follow all the guidelines. And now we have all this research, and we can look and say, we can change our physical activity as we're aging and our body changes as well. What are some basic things all women should be doing when it comes to exercise? So what are those things that we need to look and say, hey, this is foundation of our movement? Any movement is good, but we really, when we look at women and exercise, I would like women to invest more time in strength or resistance training. It's all the same: strength training, resistance training, weight training. It's different names, all means the same, basically, muscle overload. And we want to concentrate on specific cardiovascular exercise that we call zone 2 exercise. And as this conversation will go along, I will break it down for everybody and make it very, very easy. Why are we starting this conversation on movement specifically with strength training? Certain form of exercise is more effective than others to optimize our health, metabolism, longevity, body composition, appetite, and things like that. Movement does affect your hormones, and when we look at female body, we know it's very complex. Estrogen, progesterone, are we premenopause? Are we going through menopause? Are we postmenopause female? So it's going to affect us differently, depends at what stages of our life we are. Resistance training specifically stimulates muscle and muscle health. When you think about your muscle, I want you to think as muscle is metabolically active organ in your body. You already have it. We just need to use it in our advantage. A lot of women saying as they're aging, their metabolism is slowing down, and as a result, things that they used to do and things that they used to eat, they doesn't work for them anymore. And reality is, it's not that your metabolism is slowing down, it's we don't have enough healthy muscle tissue to support our metabolism as we age. Muscles is it's active organ, it's metabolically active tissue. As you're sitting down or doing any type of activities or just watching TV, really not as active, your muscles will burn calories. It is true that muscles do burn more calories than body fat. Body fat is active organ as well, but it does not do us as much justice and positive effect as muscles do. So we definitely want, as we aging, concentrate on keeping ourselves physically strong, keeping our muscle tissue pretty active, not just through the movement, but support through appropriate amount of good quality protein and nutritional aspect and sleep and things like that. So, but definitely, foundation of your movement is going to be staying strong and or getting stronger if you're just starting, and definitely work on those muscles. Okay. The importance of strength training, we can have just completely different topic and just talk about, strength training and women specifically, because it's such a large topic. But when we really look at strength training, it does empower women to boost their metabolic health. And that is our goal, right? So we want to be metabolically healthy. So we want to have good blood sugars. If you are watching your blood sugar, if you have diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, or if you're trying improve your body composition, this is something you will concentrate on. This is something where you start, right? So we have one of the nurses in our program. I like when, I will kind of quote her. She says, are we, overweight or we under muscle, right? And I agree with that aspect. I think sometimes it's really concentrating on keeping those muscle tissue healthy as we're aging. And we're going to lose muscle mass as we age, everybody knows that, but actually how physically strong you are, you're going to lose even faster. So you lose your strength first, power, how fast you do things, and muscles will go after that. It doesn't have to be, so it's we can prevent that. So regular physical activity that includes some type of resistance training. I always say high quality resistance training. When I say high quality resistance training, I mean whole body exercise, upper body, legs, large muscle group, back, chest, arms. So we don't want to concentrate just on biceps or just your core. So we want to concentrate on your whole body and have a full body type of resistance training exercise incorporated in your exercise program. So I usually like hit the goal maybe about 3 to 4 days of resistance training a week or less. So if you don't have any experience, I would say if you will start 1 or 2 days a week, I think that's a good start. 10-15 minutes is just 30 minutes investment of your time a week, and after that you can kind of build on time if that's appropriate for you, or you can just add extra day of resistance training as well. So just kind of look at your week and see what is the best for you. So this is foundation. So next slide is a foundation of resistance training. If you have access to a fitness center, our hospital, North Kansas City Hospital, does have a fitness center. We have professionally trained personal trainers that you can meet with, and they can look at your goals and where you are and write a resistance training program for you that is appropriate for you. I would definitely ask for help. So if it's not in the hospital, maybe it's YMCA or any other fitness facilities that they have trained people who can actually guide you. At my rehabilitation, we actually have a weight stack and weights, and everything is appropriate for the patient to use for resistance training. I will write a personal program for them that fits their needs. And usually the way how I look at resistance training, we do 2 to 3 sets. Okay. For my beginners, I will do just 1 set, which means it's how many times you repeat one exercise. We usually start with 12 to 15 repetitions. If it's appropriate, you can rest in between exercises if needed. For women, actually, they don't need as much rest. Men would need a little bit more. Women can just kind of go from one set to another, from exercise to another, without taking a longer break, just maybe a short break. 5 to 10 minutes, right? And sounds like, well, 5 minutes is not enough, but somebody who just starts or do 1 minute of each muscle group of exercise, that is a pretty good start. So I don't want you kind of say, hey, I really need, an hour to do that. You do not. Or I need, 30 minutes to do my resistance training. You do not need that. So if you have 10 minutes, that's good enough. I used actually today, this morning, I woke up and I did 10 minutes of body weight Pilates-based strength training exercise. If you do Pilates is strength training exercise. Sometimes we can use weights for that as well. 10 minutes. And that was enough. And actually, while I was doing my exercise, I was thinking, there is really challenging enough movement, my core and back and some body weight push-ups and things like that class included. So 10 minutes is good amount of time to hit the whole body and have benefits from that. Okay, so 3-4 days a week, I think that is a end goal. But again, if you feel like you can dedicate just 1 or 2 sessions a week, that's good enough. What do you need to look at? When you choose your weight for resistance training, I want you to feel like it's somewhat hard. I want you to feel like it's challenging. I can feel it, but I can finish my repetition. So I can finish my 12 to 15 repetitions. And you might choose different weight. Upper body is maybe a little bit lighter, and for large muscle groups, just like legs, you might choose a little bit more weight. So that's normal, that's appropriate as well. And like I mentioned again several times, make sure that it's a whole body exercise, because our goal is definitely to increase your metabolism, to improve your metabolic health, to change your body composition if that's your goal, to stimulate that muscle, and muscle needs to be challenged in order to give you all those benefits. So think about that when you do resistance training. So I want you to really work on those challenging weights, right? So not too heavy, but not too light. Next day, monitor how you feel. Do you soar or not? Some people do, some people do not. It really does not indicate if you had a high quality exercise or not. It just depends on the quality of your muscles and how well you stay hydrated as well, and what you eat and how you sleep and things like that. So, but that is going to be your foundation of resistance training. So in summary, again, I would advise ask for help. That somebody can write a program for you based on maybe any challenges you have with shoulder pain, knees, hips, back, something that we need to be aware, or if it's not, just kind of a whole body exercise. So that is going to be your foundation of resistance training for females, light to medium weights that feels somewhat hard. So I would like to now concentrate on cardiovascular exercise. So when I will talk about cardiovascular exercise, I will refer to zone 2 training. So you have to really pay attention. So especially if you have never heard about what is zone 2, how many zones out there, what is cardiovascular, if it's not all the same, it's actually not. And if you want to have results for not just improving your cardiovascular fitness, but actually make your body feel good, and not to do a ton of cardiovascular exercise and feeling sore and feeling tired and be stressed out about it, but actually have a high quality cardiovascular exercise. That is the topic for you. So that's where you need to really understand and practice zone 2 training, especially if you already an exerciser, if you run, if you do elliptical machine, if you do any type of cardiovascular activities inside or outside. So this is definitely, it will be a game changer. I would say for more, can't say for all women, I cannot just have like statement like that, but I would say for 99.9% of you is going to be a game changer. So when you understand what is zone 2 training, how to do that, and how much should I be doing of cardiovascular exercise. Most women, when they think about body fat loss, weight loss, all they start is walking or doing elliptical or biking or doing some type of cardiovascular exercise, because that's, naturally that's what we gravitate to. Now, you do need cardiovascular exercise, but your resistance training is going to stay there too, because we want to burn those calories through exercise in our muscles. So when we start our cardiovascular exercise, we want to concentrate on zone 2 training. The way how I want you to think about zone 2 training, it's known as steady, conversational paced exercise. Steady, conversationally paced exercise. If you ever done elliptical or bike or treadmill, sometimes they have different programs, and they will have fat burning program. Zone 2 is your fat burning program. So that is where you're going to dip in and don't bypass the fat burning program. Cardiovascular exercise in zone based on your heart rate. So everything you do physically, any movement you do based on how much oxygen you're consuming while you're breathing, and how high your heart rate is going, right? So if we are driving through running or high intensity overload exercise, we are driving our heart rate high. A lot of women think the higher my heart rate, the more I sweat, the better it is, the more calories I burn. Not true. We actually stress out our body in a negative way if we are driving it too high and weekly and multiple times a week. We're actually going to see the opposite effect. It's going to affect how hungry we are. We're going to be much hungrier. It's going to affect us how deep we sleep. We're not going to have as much deep sleep. We're going to hold on body fat, because your body in a constant stress state, right? So we definitely want to bring it down. And as much as people think, you need to do more, it's actually quite opposite. We need to learn how to stay in zone 2, in the steady state pace of exercise, in that fat burning exercise. I will give you just a couple of things. I want to kind of stay on that topic and move on, explain more specifically on heart rate. But when you start moving, your body is going to dip in on all resources for energy, right? It's going to be, carbs and your muscles and protein and sugar and things like that. So, and if I will ask you, right, what do you want to burn? Do you want to burn your muscles? Do you want to burn sugar? Do you want to burn carbs? Your answer should be, I want to burn fat, right? I want to burn sugar. So I want to stay in that zone. I don't want to bypass and burn in my muscles and dip in other energy sources that my body is giving me to sustain the movement. Okay, so hopefully everybody is with me on that. I just really want to convince you that how important it is to understand zone 2, and after that to practice. So because it's not something you understand, okay, I got it. It's something you practice, and it will take time for you to get there. And eventually you will be very comfortable and you will know exactly in what zone you are. How do I know if I'm in zone 2 exercise? Like I said, it's based on your heart rate. This is kind of when you look at that, and you can, pause me and look at again on this slide and do math. It's not very complicated. I'm horrible with math, and I can do that math, so hopefully you can. So zone 2 exercise is your 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. So you're going to stay in the zone of 60 to 70%. If you have Fitbit, Apple Watch, Garmin, or any devices that track your heart rate, Apple Watch actually is going to give you zones. It will give you zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and so on, right? So obviously the higher the zone, the higher is heart rate. So you want to stay in that 60 to 70% zone. So 60 to 70% of heart rate. The easiest way, even if you don't want to do, you can calculate, your 60% max, your 70, this is your highest, and I use somebody who is 42 years old. So their 60% is 106. A lot of people would say, oh my gosh, that's very low, but that is your zone 2. That is your fat burning zone. Or 124 is 70%. So this is the highest. Some people might say, oh my God, this is too low because my heart rate goes to 140, 150 and stays there. And we obviously, with specific exercise like that, we don't want that. We want really to stay in our zone and sustain that and learn how to do that efficiently. So we want not to work hard and kill ourselves. We actually want to work smart so we can have all the results. So my favorite method, actually 180 minus your age. And that is where you're zone 2. 180 minus your age. And less than that, 10, 15 beats a minute is going to be a zone 2 exercise. If you do not have way to look at the number, or you take medications like beta blockers, medications that drive your blood pressure and heart rate down, so it's not accurate. I might tell you, hey, I want you to be 106, and you're like, there's no way. I'm like 98, and I feel like I cannot do it, right? So some medications will, and if you're on those medications, you need to know that, right? Just look at that on yourself or ask your physician if you are, you probably know if you are. So, but that's what you want to look at. If you don't have ability to see your heart rate, I want you to track by how does it feel to you. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I do cardiac rehabilitation. 90% of my patients on medications that drive their heart rate down. So what we use actually is perceived exertion. The question I want you to ask yourself, how hard am I exercising? Your answer should be somewhat. Not hard, not easy, somewhat. I can talk, but I cannot sing, but I can have a conversation. I can breathe into my nose. I can pace my breathing. So I'm not severely shortness of breath because I can carry on the conversation. You can pay attention to podcasts, music, movies. So whenever you're doing, and you can feel like I can keep doing that. I can do it for, 30, 40 minutes and feel good. Zone two should not crush you. It should not destroy you. You should feel good when you're done. You should feel energized and you should feel good about it. Okay. So that is the body. And I use that too. I look at my heart rate, but I train myself so good to stay in 60, 70% of my max heart rate that I know exactly why my heart rate based on how I feel, right? So I know I do ask myself when I do my bicycle, hey, how hard does that feel to me? Today it feels hard. I need to kind of, scale down, or it does not, it feels kind of light. Can I go a little bit faster? Um, the best way to work on zone two exercise, I would probably say, if you have ability and insight, right? If you have access to bike, rowing machine is excellent. Row, bike, upright bike, treadmill. Okay, treadmill have to really play with that. Incline, faster speed, more incline, slow down. So until you kind of get that, right, somewhat hard zone of exercise. Outside is a little bit more challenging, right? Because outside is never flat. It's windy, cold, too hot, hills and stuff like that. So it might be a little bit more challenging to practice outside to do zone two training. But if you're a runner, right? So this is something I want you to start learning, right? So maybe sometimes slow down when you run, maybe start walking, maybe walk, run, maybe do those intervals so that you can keep in that specific zone that, again, it's going to give you results. It's going to give you everything you're looking for without getting frustrated of how much you need to do. So the question is, how much of zone two cardio should I be doing? And the shortest answer, whenever you can fit in. Look at your week. It could look like three sessions of 30 minutes a session. Maybe you do 45 minutes. Maybe you're like, you know what? I have extra time. I feel good. I can do 90 minutes today, right? So if your schedule is predictable, so that's kind of what I want you based on. The way how I look at my exercise, I like to do about 90 minutes to 2 hours for the whole week, right? I break it down. So it might look longer on Monday and 15 minutes on Sunday. So it's different. Every time is different, but by the end of the week, whenever my goal is, I want to end up with that. So even if it's 15-minute sessions, morning bike and evening treadmill or walking or something like that. So don't really be very, very specific about it. What I want you to concentrate, just really practice in that zone to exercise and look at your week and fit it in. Again, I know that I mentioned that before. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes of activity or 60 minutes of activity. I don't want you to feel like it's another job you have to do, right? I want you to feel like it's something that you enjoy. It's something that makes you feel good when you're done exercising, and you feel empowered and you feel strong and you feel light and you feel energized. So all those feelings, that's what I want you to look at, right? So that's what I want you to accomplish. I don't want you just feel like, oh, it's something else I have to do and I just don't like doing that, or it takes me 10, 15 minutes to get to whatever exercise I'm doing, and after that I maybe hate every single second of it, or really the best time when I'm done exercising. So I don't want you to get there. I really want you to find something that you really enjoy and have all those results. So this is your zone two activities. If you kind of caught in the beginning, I was talking about stress and over exercising and overdoing things. And I think it's as women, we take a lot. We take care of our children, grandchildren, animals, household partners. Some do a pretty good job, fitting in some type of exercise, and it's very stressful. And exercise is a form of stress. And with this conversation, I want you to not making your exercise stressful. I want is for you to have it as self-care and self-love, and show up for yourself and feel like um, it's everything that you are looking for, right? If you are over exercising, if you are not sleeping right, if you constantly feel like you need to diet and cut your food, or eating less, or eating specific type of food only, that what creates more stress on your body. So if you ever heard about cortisol and a fat gain, that is true. Everybody has cortisol, obviously, but we don't want to drive it to the point that it's backfired. We don't want to drive our stress inside our body, that we don't have a good quality of sleep, or exercise doesn't give us the results we're looking for, or overtraining and under recovery, right? Not to find time to actually chill, right? To just relax. And that sometimes is the best thing you can do, not just go, do, taking care of things and doing things. And it does have a huge impact on your hormones, especially when we talk about midlife women, right? Premenopause, postmenopause. Even if you're in your 40s and you don't have any symptoms for premenopause, you are still there, even that you feel like, well, I still have time, right? So I might be have 5, 6, 7 years. So it doesn't happen overnight. So it takes time. So I want you, if you're a woman in your 30s, 40s, I want you to get ready now, so when you are hitting midlife and getting older, that you're aging with grace and you feel good and you're not feeling frustrated with that. And if you're a woman already in postmenopause, same, that I want you to be young and vibrant in your body and not stressing out your body in a negative way. So again, chronic stress and exercise connection obviously there, but I think it's not just about the movement, it's about all those holistic approaches and a whole body approach as well. Um, in summary, so today, again, it's a big topic. We talk about, two things, but it's a big things to discuss, right? We talk about resistance training. We talk about zone 2, cardiovascular exercise. And I kind of like to look at the movement for women as FIT, FITT, frequency, intensity, time, and type. So for frequency of exercise, I want you to shoot for 150 to 180 of moderate intensity, not high intensity, moderate intensity aerobic exercise a week, which is 30 minutes most days of the week. So when you really break it down, it's not as overwhelming. So it's not going to feel like, oh my gosh, it's just too much where I can find time for that. And again, you can fit in, again, maybe less, movement, less cardio on one day and a little bit more next day, or just keep it even throughout the week. Intensity, very, very important. Intensity, exercise is driven by intensity. So I cannot, stress enough really to practice and understand what intensity you need to be, how high you need to drive your heart rate or your blood pressure, how long it should stay there. So using heart rate monitor, perceived exertion, talk test, combination of those things, I use combination, can be very, very beneficial. Time, like I said, 30 to 45 minutes, break it down, maybe 3 sessions of 10 minutes. Most people, when we look at exercise, they always say, I don't have time, right? I'm so busy with other things. It's something else to do. I don't want you to feel like that. You do need to dedicate time. There's no doubt about it, right? So we need to find that time, but I want you to have a different mentality, look a little bit different at that. So I don't want you to feel like, again, it's another job that you have to do and is just not fun doing, because it just frustrating, doesn't make you feel good. And type, right? So I want you to do your cardiovascular exercise in zone 2, and I want you to do strength training as well for muscle health, right? So I don't want you to choose, I didn't say cardio or strength training, right? It's like asking, what is more crucial, your heart or your lungs? Like, I need both. I cannot choose. So the same here. I don't want you to choose. I want you to have a combination of both those things, right? Even if it's a 10 minutes, a couple times a week, if it is a longer, faster paced walk that keeps you in zone 2 heart rate. So I want you to have a combination. So you will have so much more better results and decrease burnout, because you will have different things, you're going to do different things. And for women, especially midlife women, don't like to say midlife, but pre-postmenopause women, uh, I would probably concentrate on low impact, right? Low impact strength training. So we really, that feels good for your joints and for your muscles. So that makes you feel good. So I'm kind of keep repeating over and over again. So I hope that you kind of get the idea when you get on your exercise, that you're like, hey, how does that make me feel? What do I need to change? What type of activities I need to do, what fits me the best. So it's not black and white, it's very, very gray, especially for females. What might work for somebody else, not so much for another people. So just find something that you might never thought you like I was using an example with myself in Pilates. And it's been always very challenging for me to do Pilates. I'm has to do with flexibility and a spine mobility and the movement. And but over the years, I would do 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Probably the longest class I have ever done was 30 minutes max. I like that. Now I like the challenge, and it's body weight. It's a low impact, but it's a good strength training. Okay, it's a good strength training. So it doesn't have to be just a standard weights and weight machines and things like that. So you can just look at different options, and something maybe you challenges you didn't like it, you eventually hopefully will change your mind and give it a try. So book recommendations. So when I was thinking about what books to recommend, I didn't have to think too long. I knew exactly what recommendations I would give you. I definitely had more than 3, but I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. Forever Strong is by Dr. Gabriella Lyon, and you will find a lot of good information on women specifically and resistance training. So this book is how to reboot your body to burn fat, fight heart disease, reverse diabetes, stay sharp, build muscles, boost your energy. So she really talks specifically about strength training, resistance training, and some recommendation with dietary. So I have actually physical copy of that book, and I very enjoy it very much. But I also have I listen. So if you have a book on tape or Audible, or library app, Libby, I think that's the app that I use. So you can definitely for free, you don't have to buy anything, you can just download a book, listen as good as read. Read is just, you're going to see kind of more specific recommendation. The New Menopause is fantastic as well. Marie Claire is phenomenal. So she makes science easy. This is a New York Times bestseller. I am a woman in my mid 40s. I wanted to be ready when as I'm aging. So I wanted to be ahead of the game, and this book really helped me with that. Just kind of what to look for, what symptoms to look for. So it's really does talk about movement, but it's more talking about women physiology. Okay, so fantastic book as well. Again, don't have to buy it. You can just download it and listen, and I think you will get a lot of benefits. And my all-time favorite is Outlive. It's pretty big book. It's a large book to read. you can read it as a textbook, right? So you can just pick a chapter and look at that. And really, it's not concentrated on any gender, males, females. It just talks about person as a whole and just what science knows about longevity, right? So this book I probably recommend for somebody who's really looking more on longevity topic and human physiology and something maybe more advanced. And Dr. Atia is one of those physicians, he doesn't like to be called longevity physician, but that's what he does. It's all prevention and how to, rethink what we're doing in a different way. So same deal. I actually have a physical copy and I was reading on, because it's a big book, and it can be very beneficial also to listen. So you don't have to, even find time to sit down and read. You can just download that on your library app and just enjoy it. And I think you will find a lot of benefits from that. And I think that today's topic, you will find a lot of things that we talk about as well. So we are done for today. And if you need email to me with any questions, this is my hospital email address. You have slides, you can always pause. I love when people email questions or any feedback, always welcome. And just let us know if you want to discuss any other topics. It doesn't have to be just women. It's just maybe, or maybe we won't talk about women only and just kind of add on, and there's other topics can come up that we can have a nice, good discussion about that. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing day, and I will see you soon.